Welcome to the Equinety Podcast, where horse owners just like you share their incredible Equinety stories and how Equinety is changing their horses' lives. Whether you're searching for something to give your performance horse better focus, faster recovery, and more stamina, or in the extreme case where all hope seems lost, give your horse what it needs to help heal at a cellular level, you'll find it here. So jump in on today's episode to hear how Equinety is helping horses worldwide. Now, welcome your host, John Dowdy.
Hello and welcome to another Equinety Podcast. I am excited this week. We are going into the cutting horse world, and we're going to swing out to Yakima, Washington, and I've got Lisa and Don Schledfeldt on the Equinety Podcast this week. Lisa and Don, welcome to the Equinety Podcast.
Well, thank you. How are you today?
We're doing just great on this side, and Lisa is there with you as well?
Yep.
All right.
And we're really excited to be here.
Good. Well, I'm glad to have you, and I know y'all are busy people out there, so I appreciate you taking the time. And this week, we're going to talk about 6 horses and what farm isn't complete without a mule. So,
exactly.
Yeah. So I understand through our pre-call, you've got performance horses, you've got some an older mare, you've got some boarding horses, and of course your mule. So you've got a wide variety. You also used a lot of supplements through the years. Tell us a little bit about maybe what you've experienced, prior to using Equinety. You've got these performance horses and things, and, tell us about maybe in generic terms, your supplement, you're fans of supplements, but it seems like there was always something just kind of missing.
Yeah, and I'm going to let my husband expand on that because, he used a lot of different supplements prior and was always investigating different kinds of supplements.
And we don't have to go into specifics of names or anything. It's just I kind of want to give everybody, I'm sure there's other people similar, that are feeding a lot of different things and trying to look for stuff that would help. So that's kind of where that question's going.
Yeah, I've kind of researched the supplement through the years, and I'm just kind of researching what the horses really need, and just that some of the prior supplements, you heard so many good things, and there was just about as many bad things about it. And on the Equinety, I just noticed that most testimonials are all positive, and now I see why, because the results that we've seen over the other supplement, they're a little more outstanding as far as movement and the coats and the looks of the horse compared to the other products. We got some of the shiny coats, and that off of some of the other ones, but not to the extent that this has. This really, they really just look like they came out of a bath now. It's pretty unbelievable. Yeah.
Now, at the time of this recording, this one will be published right around the 1st of November, second week of November of 2019. So you guys just started using the Equinety product this year, right around August, September timeframe, end of August, 1st of September?
Yeah, I think it was right around the first, probably the first or second week of August.
Okay.
We started on them.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, so let's go through, and we're going to go through, I'll just go down the line here. And so horse number 1, Missy, tell us a little bit about Missy, what some of her quirks were, or different things that were going on. What were you trying to help her with? And then when you added the Equinety, what happened after that?
Missy, she's just a real high caliber cutting horse. She's really, really physical in the pen. She's just full of cow. Like I said, the most I've noticed on her is, she just got a better top line, and her muscle tone's a little more defined, and just her endurance and ability to move better in the show pen. She's already a pretty thinky mare. She's pretty smart on a cow, but just she needed the most help and just the recovery and the stamina in the show pen. Sometimes if you get a cutting horse and you're working them too hard, they'll just stop and they'll start backing up, and I've had that problem with her before, and I haven't noticed that in the last month, working her. she just seems more focused and more drive in her.
That's pretty awesome. So, and I think what's really interesting to point out for those that are tuning in is, this particular mare's 13-year-old. How long have you had her? How long have you been working with her prior to using the Equinety?
I've had her for 7 years.
Okay. So, safe to say that you definitely know how this mare works. You've got a definite baseline, and you've tried or been using supplements on her before and different things to get her to perform at her best. So I think it's important to point out that, you really know this horse, you've had her on things, and then you add the Equinety, and that seemed to just fill in those gaps that you were really looking for all along.
Yeah. I forgot to mention one other thing. She's typically a horse, that I have to have her hocks injected like twice a year, and I haven't injected her this year yet. I haven't seen her, stiff-legged in the rear, so I'm hoping I can avoid that. And it seems like it's working pretty good the way she is on this.
Yeah, and sure. And it's interesting you bring that up, because we have heard a lot of feedback with these performance horses that have regularly scheduled injections once or twice a year. We seem to hear a lot that since they've used the Equinety, they don't have to be injected as often, and sometimes not at all. Of course, all of this comes down to the severity of what's going on in there. So, definitely we're not saying that your horse doesn't need it anymore. Obviously, we want you to listen to your veterinarian, and you know your horse better than anybody, so you're going to be able to determine that. But it's just some of the feedback that we've received, and just interesting you bring that up. So, okay, let's go into horse number 2, which is also a 13-year-old, Maya.
Yeah, Maya's a highbrow cutting horse. Not a real athletic horse, but a real smart horse. On a cow, yeah, she was extremely pigeon-toed when I got her, but we kind of worked that out of it. So she gets a little sore in the front, but she's been again, she's a pretty mellow horse. It really thinks hard, but like I said, she's not real athletic, and she's kind of lazy. But again, she comes alive on a cow, and like I said, she's just got more go into her, and she can go harder and longer, and I think she does recover a little bit faster from a workout.
The heat cycle.
Yeah, and one of her biggest problems was her heat. In the years I've had her since she was 4 months old, and she's always cycled really hard. We've had her scoped, we've had her looked at, and making sure there was nothing in there causing it. But she just cycles really hard, and I mean, she'll throw her hips on the panels, and she'll bend trailer gates and stuff. But
kick walls out.
Yeah, and I just noticed lately that she's not rubbing on the panels. Like I said, we transported her the other day. Usually she's a bucker in the trailer and throws herself on the gates, but it's gone away. I haven't noticed it in the last month.
No, you could have heard a pin drop when we were trailing. There was no rocking and rolling. There was nothing.
Yeah, as you're going down there, you're like, did you latch the trailer gate? Are those horses even back there?
Are the horses back there? Yeah, there was nothing. It was yeah, those horses have always been together, and they know each other, but there was still the kicking and the bucking and wheeling, but there was absolutely none of that.
Wow.
She always was a little bit bad, even when she wasn't in heat.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Okay, horse number 3, which I believe is yours, Lisa, Jessie.
Yeah, so Jessie's just a really hot caliber of horse. It's a lot of calming her down. Even when I would lope her here at home. We have an arena here, and we have a flag. So I stopped. She was so bad, I stopped loping her. I just long trot her. But working her on the flag is really traumatic for her. And I just noticed that walking her up the flag, she's just a little calmer and really looking at it a little more focused. And it doesn't take me that long to calm her down.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one thing, and her coat. But she's an extremely athletic horse and very, very tough. And so her movement's always been really great. I've just noticed her be a little bit more mellow, a little more focused, not so drama-driven.
Yeah, and I know one of the things that you were concerned with, because she was a pretty hot horse, and so you were worried about this making her even hotter, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we only feed grass hay too, by the way, and we do turn them out. Like I said, we have a pretty good program where everybody gets out, gets to be a horse, and then we just, we do the Equinety. So that for her is really important. And so I've always been leery about what she eats.
Sure.
Because she already can be pretty dramatic, so I don't need anything extra.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, you also mentioned, and the reason I want to point this out, because we do get a lot of questions. People say, my horse is hot. I don't want something to make my horse hotter. At the same time, somebody might, you had mentioned she was calmer, but it's not like giving her a sedative or anything. It's not, it's like they're calmer, but still very, very focused, and they want to work. Is that what you found?
Yeah, and I love riding her. She's really fun to ride. She's a ton of energy. She's easy to warm up, so I don't want that affected. I like that energy level that she has.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I want is I want her thinking. I want to be able to engage her and get her to start thinking clearly, because I think there's a difference there. So. When she gets pretty upset walking towards the flag and she's getting kind of nutty, I have to be able to just keep her going forward, and she's just more alert, a little calmer, but yet that energy level's there. I don't ride the spurs or anything. I don't need.
Let me throw one more thing in there. Getting back to the medicine, the NCHA, they allow us to use, we can use ACE to a certain percentage of the body weight,
mm-hmm.
and she's typically been a horse that we've had to ACE in the past, to slow her down a little bit. We haven't given her none in the last 2 months.
Yeah, she hasn't had any.
She hasn't had none.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, we have an arena here at home. We have an actual cutting pen here, and so we work them here right now. The show season's going to be starting. We got to start really getting them in shape and stuff. But, yeah, so I would always be concerned about giving her ACE because I want her thinking.
Mm-hmm.
A hot horse that's not thinking, to me, is real dangerous. But if they're thinking and they're just, to me, there's just a difference with her. I can feel it.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I just want her alert and thinking. It's okay to be afraid, and it's okay to have that energy. I can move her in the right place. It's just I want her thinking and focused, and that seems to come around a lot quicker.
Yeah, and I think it's important for those tuning in. Equinety is 100% pure amino acids, so there's nothing in this like a caffeine that jacks a horse up or a sedative that chills him down. It's giving the horse what it needs to release its own hormones, and then the body's deciding where to send those hormones with pinpoint accuracy, because the body knows exactly where in this particular horse needs a healing. And so we've gone through 3 horses with 3 completely different things, and we've heard how it's affected each one of these. And then we've got 3 more horses and a mule. So we'll continue to go on here and see how there's just this one little tiny scoop is positively changing for the good all of these horses. So that's great.
And one thing, John, I wanted to add about Jessie too. I'm going to start really looking for this with her, pulling back when I tie her up and when I go to cinch her up.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a way that I cinch my horse up when I get her ready, because she would pull back, and as long as I walk her and cinch up as I walk her. So I'm going to start really looking to see some improvement in that area.
Sure.
The last time I saddled her up, I didn't have any issue at all, but I'm kind of hyper vigilant now about it, always watching for it. And so that's going to be telling as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, okay, now we're going to go into horse number 4, which is Barney, 13-year-old. Tell us about that one.
Yeah, Barney's a 13-year-old, smart little lean and gilding. Use him he's my general ranch horse and turnback horse. Roped a few cows off of him. He's just a big gelding. He hasn't been really worked that hard since we started on him, but I have noticed a big difference in his body definition. His top line's improved. He just looks really muscular because he's so slicked out, so shiny.
Mm-hmm. How long have you had him?
I've had Barney.
Oh, okay, 2 years. Yep. Wow. So I just find this fascinating. Hearing this. You guys are obviously super in tune with your horses, and you're giving them and exercising them and doing the things that they need. And then it wasn't until the Equinety that you noticed top lines filling in, they're filling out muscle-wise and coat. To me, that is fascinating, but it's telling about the product as well. So you also had mentioned to me earlier, you've noticed, along with the more muscle and filling out, but he's able to kind of kick it into a higher gear speed-wise if he needs to.
Yep. You can get him across the pen. You get him across the pen a lot quicker. Just got a little more go in his step.
Yeah, that's great.
But it's real important for me. I mean, when your horses are shiny and they look good in their muscle tone, people notice that a mile away, especially when you show up at a show, and your horses, people are staring at them. That says a lot about your horses and your program. Yeah,
you're going to have to add a little bucket there on the side. If you look at my horse, you have to pay me $1 or something.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's get into the your older mare, horse number 5, Lacey.
Yeah. So Lacey, I've had for 20 years, and oh my gosh, she's had laminitis for a lot of years, so I have to really watch her pasture time, what I feed her, and I juded her quite a bit, especially on days that she was uncomfortable, which I hated doing, because I hear that's really tough on their stomachs and it's really tough on their system. And so, and also her soles had dropped so much, it was just, I always had to keep her padded. I mean, she couldn't walk across anything that had a rock in it. Since I started the Equinety with her, right off, it had to be 7 days. I noticed her just moving like I couldn't believe.
Yeah.
Like all this more flexibility and movement. And then I clean her feet sometimes twice a day because if mud gets up in there. And what I've noticed that she has just more depth in her hoof. I mean, a physical change I actually noticed. I was like, God, that's just incredible. So, and I haven't patted her at all. So
wow.
This summer, I haven't even patted her. And I was concerned about that, and I asked my shoer back in August if I should put pads on her. He said, well, we were going to. And then I said, well, let me go another couple months, and we'll see. And I haven't. I started her right away on the Equinety after that, and so I just decided I'm not going to, I'm not going to pat her anymore.
Well, no, and I know one of the other things you were telling me about, she always just kind of moved a little slow, had a little limp to her in the front end.
She was always off in her front end, terrible limp. She still has a little bit of a limp, but sometimes now what I've noticed about the limp is that it's slight and it comes and goes. Mm-hmm. So sometimes she doesn't have it. Once in a while she will, and usually I have to go out and clean her feet. But no, she's out on the pasture for morning time to get out and stretch, and she was trotting across the pasture. I mean, she's a big mare and probably shouldn't have lived this long.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
And I don't like ridge showing and all that. No, she looks really good for an older mare.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Now, you also board a few horses, and there's one by the name of Chex. Tell us about this one that you started on, and what was going on with him prior to Equinety.
Besides my old mare, this one, a horse that I hadn't been around, so seeing him come in to be boarded and seeing what he is now in just a couple months, it's just been incredible. A month, and it hasn't even been a full 2 months, I don't think. So he came in on September 8th, and he is my friend's daughter's barrel horse and competitive, and he's 18, and they've had him for 7 years, and he's come a long way in those 7 years. It was a pretty brutal life for him prior to them getting him. And so he was very ribby when I got him here. So the first thing we did is we wormed everybody, of course. And then I started him right away with her permission on the Equinety. And when I noticed it wasn't that long, one of the things that he did, and I think it's trauma-based, was a lot of swaying in the pen, swaying back and forth. Mm-hmm. And so I started him on the Equinety. What I noticed in about 7 or 8 days, first of all, I started filling out a lot better. But the swaying, I hardly see it anymore at all. And I'm out here with them 3 times a day. Of course, all our horses get turned out and back in the pens, but I have not seen him. I think this week alone, I saw him sway just maybe once, just slight.
Right.
Which, I mean, to me, from what I've seen, that's just incredible. Well, anyway, she went out. She comes out and legs them up. Not a whole lot in the last month, but she went out and did a big jackpot barrel race out here by the home here.
Mm-hmm.
And she went out, and this horse is 18 years, and he went out and it was flawless. It was beautiful, and we thought she took first place. He kicked butt, but he ended up second, and it was just a beautiful run. It was flawless. It was crazy.
Wow. Yeah, feeling good.
Yeah, and they said that they haven't seen a run. They haven't seen a run like that from him in a while. I mean, it was beautiful.
That's so great. Oh, he must obviously feeling really nice, feeling good.
Yeah, the flexibility that he showed and the speed. I mean, it didn't even look fast. It was so beautiful.
Yeah.
It was crazy. Man. And now he's really filled out. He looks really solid. He's, it's just sometimes I look at him and I just can't quite believe it.
Yeah.
So,
wow. Okay. Let's talk about Ringo the Mule. Tell us about Ringo.
Well, Ringo, oh gosh, we've had Ringo about 3 or 4 years, and we're just kind of letting him grow. And so anyway, we put him on pasture, but I kept telling my husband he's been out there too much. He's starting to show signs of laminitis or some founder. No, he said mules don't founder, and I said yes they do. And anyway, I had the vet come out, and sure enough, it was in his front feet. He was really, really sore and lethargic. And anyway, so I pulled him off, and so from August through recently, he's only gotten grass hay. I stalled him for a while with lots of shavings because of the soreness, and I got him to lose some weight. Well, then I started him on the Equinety, and no, he's as good as new right now. You would never know. He runs all over, terrorizes everybody on the pasture, back to his old self.
And no signs of the laminitis or anything?
No. Oh, no, there's no, you would never know. It's, yeah, so it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's just really good. No, he's of course, again, we turn him out, we give him good exercise, and we can ride here at the place, and we try to help them be mentally a horse as much as we can. But the shine in their coat and just kind of the way they've filled out and their minds, it just kind of blows me away still.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Now, let's talk about palatability. So we've got 7 different animals here. There's got to be some that there has to be some picky eaters in this group. So is that?
Oh yeah, so Maya and Missy, not so much Missy, but Maya. Well, Missy does it too. They started dumping their grain pans and eating around, and so they would leave. This I don't. I just plop one scoop on top of their food, and there's no issue whatsoever. No, I haven't had one eat around it. At all. In fact, my goats will get in and eat it too with my old mare. I got to kind of watch them, but they all get in there. It hasn't seemed to make a bit of difference.
Well, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
So saving food, and now without giving away names or anything like that, are you still giving the other supplements and things, or are you just adding the Equinety to it? So you're just using the Equinety?
Yeah, we have brand new supplements out in our barn right now. And we just haven't even used them at all. I don't think we've opened them.
Well, and I think it's important for those tuning in. Obviously, you know your horses better than anybody, and what we always recommend from a company standpoint is whatever your horse is on, whatever program they're on, don't change anything. Just add the Equinety to it, because you already have a baseline of what these things are doing for your horse. When you add the Equinety to it, you should start seeing changes. In your case, it was 7 days on the one horse. But typically, most people see changes within 30 days. And at that point, you can start maybe bringing them off of some other things, or maybe taking them off. And I would say, you tell me how close I am to this, but we get feedback all the time. People are typically saving 20 to 40% in medical bills and other supplements since they started using the Equinety. Is that fairly accurate, or would you find that to be accurate?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And we might even be saving a little bit more.
Wow.
Because my husband, would buy, 3 different supplements that we were using, or 2 different supplements, and I won't name names, but it's just less is more for us.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have a lot of time to be going through, it's time consuming when I go to grain.
Sure.
I get the pants out, and you get 1 scoop of this. Less is more. We don't want to use a lot of fillers and filling them up on all sorts of stuff. And,
sure.
We just want to be healthy. And, the mind is the big thing. So that's the one thing that I've really noticed overall. So that's what I like about this Equinety. It wasn't just so much that I saw such a big, huge change in the movement, especially with the 2 that were pretty obvious were having issues.
Yeah.
But just overall in their personalities and their minds, it's just a little quieter.
Yeah, and with that being said, going back, I mean, so they're trailering, they're more calm when you're trailering. We have heard of farms that do a lot of boarding, and they like require everybody to be on Equinety, because it seems like everybody's like more in tune. They're all calmer, they're happier, they're more predictable.
Mm-hmm.
So I think yeah, that's fantastic.
Well, and our other 2 border horses are also are prospective barrel horses too,
Mm-hmm.
and they're younger. And I haven't started them on Equinety because there are some concerns with graining one of them being too hot. So I'll be having that conversation with the owner about putting them on a program. So what'll be interesting is to see the before and after. So I wish I would have had all these pictures and stuff, but I can do that. So this will be interesting.
Sure. Yeah, that's great. Well, awesome. Yeah. Well, I tell you what, I appreciate both of you taking the time out of your day to share all these stories. Is there anything else that you'd like to add or put out there for anybody that might be hearing about this for the first time? Any suggestions or anything you might have for them?
Just try it. You have nothing to lose. Believe me, it's simple and it's nice, and it feels really safe and good for them and healthy, and I just love it. I mean, I hope to God I can keep getting a tub.
Hey, with all the savings, you should be getting 3 or 4 tubs now. Huh?
Absolutely. So it's part of our program. So
yeah, awesome. Don, anything you'd like to add or say, or?
Actually, he just stepped out.
See, he's like, I'm out. I've been on here long enough. Well, I appreciate Don.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Don's out of here. All right.
You bet.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I really appreciate you guys, Don and Lisa Schledfeldt from Yakima, Washington. Thank you so much for taking the time to be on the Equinety Podcast.
Oh, you bet. Thank you, John.
All right, thank you.
We really enjoyed it.
You bet. All right, bye-bye.
That's all for this episode of the Equinety Podcast. For more information on purchasing Equinety, be sure to visit our website at teamequinety.com, where you'll also find product information as well as more testimonials on how others have seen amazing results by implementing Equinety into their horse's supplement regime. We'll have more stories on how Equinety is helping horses worldwide right here on a future episode of the Equinety Podcast.